vegetarian hot dogs, vegetarian tofu, vegetarian cheeses, vegetarian soygurt. All these great vegetarian foods, including spirulina, chlorella, sprouts, bean sprouts full of protein, pumpkin seeds, low-fat, baked vegetarian chips, more sprouts, sunflower sprouts, vegetarian protein powder, low in fat, oils, and vegetarian margarine spread, spectrum margarine spread. An array of vegetarian milks, rice, almond, and soy. Vegetarian cereals, oatmeals, whole grain cereals. Vegetarian burgers, vegetarian Salisbury steaks, vegetarian breakfast links and bolognas, fat-free, casein-free, vegan cheese slices, vegetarian milk-free cheese pizza, and no cheese pizza. Hello, today I want to talk to you about vegetarianism. Hi, I'm Dr. William Richardson of the Atlanta Clinic of Preventive Medicine. This day and time, many people are switching to a vegetarian diet because of the obvious health benefits. Let's look at the problems with animal product consumption. Cholesterol, saturated fat, second-hand food, no fiber, constipating, overworking the liver and the kidneys, causes osteoporosis, highly processed with chemicals and preservatives, unhealthy living conditions, cruelty and violence to the animals. Animal products cause cancer. Animal products cause hardening of the arteries, gout, arthritis, digestive problems. Animal products have bioaccumulated or concentrated chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, which can cause harm to our bodies. Animal fat is unhealthy and stores toxic metals and other toxic organic compounds. Animal products cause fatigue and sluggishness, intestinal toxemia, or poisoning within the intestines. There are problems with meat, mad cow disease. There are problems with poultry, causing men to grow breasts. There are problems with fish, causing pregnant women to abort babies. There are problems with dairy products. And there's problems with eggs. We have appalling statistics in America. Cancer is vying with heart disease as the #1 killer in America. 50% of U.S. citizens will get some form of cancer by the age of 75. 1/5 of males will get prostate cancer, and 1/3 of African American males will get prostate cancer. 1 of 9 females get breast cancer, and in certain groups even more. The United States leads the world in women's lung cancer rates. There's plenty of different cancers with very dismal types of treatments offered by chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and surgery. The total cost is over $400 billion annually. Health problems created by heart and artery disease, mostly caused by eating animal products, include chest pains, heart attacks, female infertility, male impotency, Alzheimer's, arthritis, diabetes complications, gangrene, fainting spells, cancer, senility, silent strokes, non-silent strokes, inability to exercise, move around, paralysis, etc., 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 just to name a few. Heart and artery diseases also vying with cancer as the #1 killer in America. There's over 1.5 million heart attacks per year, mostly all caused by eating meat and animal products. The United States leads the world in death rates from heart disease. A large percentage of heart attacks are painless, and 40% of heart attack victims don't even survive. They die. There's over 1 million deaths per year in the United States from heart disease, again, because of the high meat and dairy intake. 50% again of all deaths are due to heart and artery disease. There's 90 million Americans, over 90 million Americans with elevated cholesterol. 70 million Americans have high blood pressure, and probably much more than that. Think about the 600,000 heart bypass surgeries done every year at a cost of $55,000 to $75,000 each. Not to mention the 500,000 angioplasties done annually in the United States at a cost of $25,000 to $35,000 each. The total cost of heart and artery disease is $300 to $500 billion. And look who is profiting from this disease epidemic. The fast food, junk food, dairy, and meat industry are right there profiting from the heart and artery disease epidemic. And of course there's alcohol, tobacco, funeral homes, health insurance companies, heart and artery surgeons, cardiologists, and hospitals. These businesses are making trillions and trillions of dollars from heart and artery disease, which are completely preventable and reversible, the first step being the vegetarian diet. There are many, many good reasons why people are becoming vegetarian today, and that's what we're talking about. And one of the main reasons is to avoid the multitude of problems associated with animal products, including cholesterol, saturated fats. It's a secondhand food, doesn't have any fiber, so it's constipating. It overworks the detoxification organs like the liver and kidneys, causes osteoporosis and cancer, hardening of the arteries, gout, which is a form of arthritis. It also is associated with regular wear and tear arthritis. It's full of chemicals, pesticides, fungicides. Meat and dairy products are generally very unhealthy foods because there's problems with all of them, and I'm going to get into those details now. Let's look at cholesterol. We just said that 90 million or 100 million Americans have high cholesterol. Where do you think cholesterol comes from? The only food that contains cholesterol are meat and dairy products. That's the only food that contains cholesterol. So if you want your cholesterol to drop, immediately get off of all meat and dairy products, including fish, poultry, beef, you name it. I want to say this again because it is a very important point. Point number one, with the problems with animal product consumption, cholesterol. Animal products are the only foods that contain cholesterol, and if you have high cholesterol, which many people do who come into my clinic, to get off of animal products will drop that cholesterol flat on its face 90% of the time. The other percent you'll have to use exercise as well. The other problem is saturated fats, which are hard to digest, which cause obesity, and which give you fat-soluble pesticides, herbicides. A lot of these chemicals are soluble in fat, and these are associated with cancer. Everybody's breast in the whole world now has DDT, which is a fat-soluble pesticide from the eat, and the people who are non-vegetarian have much, much more of these fat-soluble problems, pesticides, herbicides, etc. Another problem is that it is a second-hand food, and that's mainly an environmental problem, because to make one small piece of meat, nature has to spend 20 gallons of water, bushels and bushels and bushels of vegetation to make that one small piece of meat. So it's really second-hand food. It's really inferior food, chock full of fat and all the other things that are causing disease here in the United States. Another problem is that the meat does have no fiber. The meat has no fiber, the dairy has no fiber. Many people come into my clinic totally constipated and backed up, And one big key to relieving constipation and its associated problems of headaches and sinus problems is getting off of meat and getting off of it permanently and eating high fiber foods. And we'll go over some of those foods again later on. Constipation is a major problem secondary to the lack of fiber. Then overworking the liver and kidneys. A lot of people don't realize this, but meat is taken out of diabetics' diets as soon as they start to have kidney disease. And why is that? Because everybody knows that meat sets up acids that the body has to detoxify, and to do that you pull calcium from the bone that causes osteoporosis, and it also is hard on the kidneys and actually can be associated with chronic renal failure. Therefore, meat can be associated with diabetes, which is a very big point. If you want to stay out of the dialysis office, then don't eat meat. And it also, because of the overworking of the pancreas through the enzymes, depletes the body's enzymes. So, and then the saturated fats have to be processed by what? The liver, along with the cholesterol. Meat definitely causes osteoporosis, as well as dairy products, and that's because of the type of amino acids in the meat and dairy products set up acidic environments in the body that the kidney sends out hormones and pulls calcium out of the bone to buffer the acid. So Eskimos, for instance, eat a lot of meat, and they have high rates of osteoporosis because of that. Meat is highly processed with chemicals and preservatives. Well, especially the processed meats with the nitrites, nitrates, and all those types of really dangerous chemicals and the colorants as well. But also, hormones are added to the chicken to make it grow quicker. And I've seen a lot of male patients with what we call gynecomastia, or breast tissue enlargement, because of the consumption of the poultry. And unhealthy living conditions, cruelty, and violence. Well, some people may just be looking at vegetarianism for purely selfish reasons, but you know, the old saying goes, it's good to be good. And that means if we do care about the animals and how they're treated, then it's going to flip back to us. Also, if you're going to eat flesh, it's better to go hunting it. That's a lot more honorable than paying someone to treat it very cruel. Meat causes cancer. Meat is associated with prostate cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, and even lung cancer, because higher cholesterols are associated with higher rates of lung cancer in smokers. So meat is very dangerous, and we didn't mention endometrial cancer, that is uterine cancer, and probably a whole lot of other cancers, lymphomas, especially when you add the chemicals. But just even chemical-free meat is associated with cancer because of the lack of fiber and also the fat. Meat causes arteriosclerosis along with dairy products, hardening of the arteries. If you take dairy products that have no fat, you still are in trouble with that because of the casein, which is the milk protein, sets up scarring in the blood vessels. Arteriosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, is associated with saturated fats and the cholesterol in meats. If you have arteriosclerosis, heart disease, get off of meat and dairy products immediately. Be a vegetarian. Meat causes gout, especially the organ meats like hearts and all those sorts of things, and that's because of the uric acid from the purine, high purine containing constituents in those organs. But meat is associated with gout. Meat, beer, and if you're susceptible to it, fasting. And meat also causes regular arthritis, and that's because meat has causes prostaglandins, which are chemicals in the body to be made that cause inflammation. And these inflammatory prostaglandins that are associated with the meat and the dairy products can cause arthritis and other inflammatory states. Another problem with meat is digestive problems. And that's a lot of times associated with food combining problems, which we'll talk about later. But it's also associated with the fact that something like beef with all the saturated fat literally sits in the stomach for days, because we're not cows, we're not, we are not cats, we're not dogs. We're not meant and designed physically to eat meat, and we're going to go over that in a minute. But it literally sits in the belly and rots. That's what it does. Bioaccumulated and concentrated chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. If we eat a portion of meat, say this size, we get the pesticides, fungicides, etc. that may fill this whole room. Whereas if we eat vegetables that are non-organic, then we just get this much pollution in this area. Studies have shown in Sweden that vegetarian men who eat organic foods have double the sperm count of meat eaters. These chemicals are associated with cancers and with all types of other immunological problems. It can trigger systemic lupus erythematosus, rheumatoid arthritis, etc. Animal fat is unhealthy and stores toxic metals. As we mentioned, animal fat is saturated fat, and it is harder for the body to deal with, causes obesity, and heavy metals are stored within. Because of the problems with the digestion and the holding up of the blood in the digestive tract for long periods of time, sluggishness and fatigue can ensue. Also, because of poor digestion, you can get leaky gut syndrome, and chemicals can go into the body that cause sluggishness and fatigue. Intestinal toxemia means that there are chemicals that are produced when the meat literally rots in the belly. This doesn't happen to cats and dogs because their digestive tracts are very short and very smooth, so the meat can move through very quickly. This intestinal toxemia can make you feel sick, give you migraine headaches, dark circles under the eyes, and that also ties into liver toxicity as well. Problems with meat. Well, let's think about red meat. Like Oprah Winfrey said, she hasn't eaten a hamburger since she heard of mad cow disease. This is a very serious disease, or slow virus disease, that if you eat just a little bit of it, it multiplies into the brain, causes sponging of the brain or holes in the brain, and many people who think they have Alzheimer's, or their family members think they have Alzheimer's, in the United States, actually, we think have mad cow disease. And this hits you 20, 30, 40 years after eating the meat. So that's one problem with it. The problem with poultry. The problem with poultry is that when you cook poultry, you get a chemical called heterocyclic amines, more so than when you cook red meat. This heterocyclic amine is associated with cancer. So chicken, therefore, causes more cancer than red meat. Also, the chemicals that are added to the chicken to make it grow quickly, I've seen, in my opinion, cause breast enlargement in males. Problems with fish include the great toxicity of the ocean, and the lack of fiber, and the cholesterol content of fish. Those are the problems with fish. Mercury toxicity is a great problem. Problems with dairy products, including milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, and cottage cheese, include cancer. Yogurt was the only food in a case-control study that was associated with cancer of the ovaries. Also, yogurt and dairy products in general are associated with female infertility, as well as all of them can cause ovarian cancer. All of the dairy products are associated with cancers, the same cancers that are associated with meat, including breast, prostate, etc. So if you want to avoid cancer, or if you have cancer, get off of meat and dairy products immediately. Problems with eggs. Eggs are basically fetuses from the birds. And the problems, again, are bioaccumulation of the poisons that are associated with the growing of the poultry, and the cholesterols, the saturated fats, and the heavy metals. I want to go over with you 9 reasons that we're not built to eat meat. This is in your handout. And we have a graph here that compares carnivores, herbivores, and human beings. And then about 9 constituents, including teeth, jaws, claws, bowel, wall, intestines, stomach, drinking method, and sweating location and instincts are applied to carnivores, including lions, tigers, and wolves, and probably reptiles, and then herbivores, gorillas, horses, and cows, and then human beings. Well, very frankly and succinctly, the human beings are much more identical or like the herbivores compared to the carnivores. Carnivores have long canines to tear flesh. We don't have that, neither do the gorillas, the horses, or the cows. They have jaws that open wide, claws that are sharp and long to tear flesh. Bowel walls are smooth in carnivores to let the meat move along quickly, whereas in herbivores and human beings it's full of pouches so you can get all the nutrients out. And the intestines are very short in carnivores, so the meat can pass through quickly without rotting, but in herbivores the intestines are very long. The stomach is very acid in carnivores. In herbivores it's very alkaline to digest the carbohydrates easily. The drinking is by lapping with the tongue in carnivores, but herbivores and human beings swallow. Carnivores sweat through their tongues. The cats and dogs sweat through their tongues, whereas we sweat through our skin pores. And the carnivores, when they see prey bleeding, they pounce on it. They jump on it. And there's been a great conspiracy anyway, because there's more than one way to feed growing muscles, and the person who talked about real food for real people eventually got colon cancer, just like the Marlboro Man got lung cancer and emphysema. So I would suggest you don't listen to them. Now, what are documented benefits of the vegetarian lifestyle? Well, first of all, we have a great reduction in weight. The weight of a person can be permanently controlled by adopting the vegetarian diet. And that's because of the lack of saturated fat, the fiber in the vegetarian diet, pulling the waste out of the body. And then permanent reductions in serum cholesterol have been obtained. I probably showed you some examples. We're talking about 296 down to 146, 257 down to 175. Those are the types of drops that we're used to seeing here at the Atlanta Clinic of Preventive Medicine because we stress the vegetarian lifestyle. Permanent reductions in blood sugar as well because of the decrease in weight mostly, and also the whole fat to lean body ratio is important in blood sugar control because the fat cells have receptors that take up the insulin and cause diabetes because there's a relative lack of insulin. There's a tremendous risk reduction for all cardiovascular diseases, including heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, sexual dysfunction, including impotency, poor circulation, hardening of the arteries in general. There's a great, in fact, the day you become a vegetarian, that day, you have significantly less risk of getting a heart attack just in one day. There's a tremendous risk reduction in most forms of cancer. And the earlier it's done, the better. I've seen cancer patients who were 30 years old at the time of diagnosis of cancer, and they quit eating red meat 5 years before diagnosis, quit eating white meat or poultry 2 years before diagnosis, and quit eating dairy products the day of diagnosis. And I have a lot of patients who have been diagnosed with cancer in my practice who are doing well, and part of it is because they are completely vegan. Many of them are now raw vegans because the raw food, of course, has the enzymes that are so important in fighting cancer. There's also tremendous risk reductions in allergies, arthritis, asthma, liver toxicity and damage, of course, constipation, diabetes, as we mentioned, overall body toxicity. You just feel better. You feel younger. You feel 15, 20, 25 years younger. You feel like kicking it again. There's a great decrease in gout and kidney damage. As I told you, the non-holistic physicians are now recommending vegetarian diets to diabetics who have spillage of protein in the urine from kidney damage. There's even a decrease in depression, moodiness, and anxiety because you're not full of all those poisons and toxins. Again, you're going to feel great, you're going to look better, your skin's going to look better. Many other conditions are reduced with the vegetarian diet. You have more energy and clarity. I remember the last steak I ate, I was in medical school, away from my home, away from home. okay, if that makes sense. And I was over somebody's house, and their mother convinced me to eat a steak. I hadn't eaten red meat in years, maybe 3 to 5 years, and I ate that one steak, and for the it tasted good and everything. I mean, you know, you could probably do anything, it'll feel or taste good, but you have to draw the line. But the next 3 to 4 days after I ate that steak, I was in suspended animation, so slow, my whole body energy dropped. And I said, if this is what meat does, I'm through with it for good. So you have a better sense of well-being, more energy and clarity. What a great blessing, just from switching your diet to a vegetarian diet. So, again, what we're talking about is vegetarianism, veganism, and we're going to go over some terms very quickly. Now, a non-vegetarian eats a conventional diet using any animal product, fish, fowl, food derivatives of these, etc. A vegetarian, by definition, uses no flesh, no fish, no fowl, but still may use milk or other dairy products, lacto-vegetarian, or eggs, or ovo-vegetarian, or both, a lacto-ovo-vegetarian. But what we're talking about is being totally vegetarian, using no animal source food. Now, some people may go all the way to veganism, and that means no animal source food or clothing or anything like that, and there's transitions in between. But what we're talking about is using no animal products in the diet. No dairy, no eggs, no meat. There's some great books out I want to mention. Diet for a New America by John Robbins, and then the New McDougall Cookbook by John and Mary McDougall, great doctor there. The McDougall Program for Maximum Weight Loss, John McDougall, MD. Pregnancy, Children, and the Vegan Diet. That means no animal products, and how to deal with that being a mother and breastfeeding, Michael Clapper, MD. The Race for Life Cookbook by Ruth Heydrich, PhD, and The Scientific Basis of Vegetarianism by William Harris, MD. And there's also recommended vegan cookbooks, The Vegan Kitchen by Freya Dinshaw, The Cookbook for People Who Love Animals by The Gentle World People, The Uncheese Cookbook, Simply Vegan, and Vegetarian Cooking for a Better World. There's many other books. This is the cookbook for people who love animals. This is a great cookbook. It certainly, in my family, has brought us many great dishes and kept us from being bored. Okay? Then there's a new book out by Brenda Cobb, who we refer to and vice versa, called The Living Foods Lifestyle. And this is one of many books on living or raw foods. These are foods that have not been cooked, which is the ultimate vegan diet. For some people, this is a great, great lifestyle. Then I also want to mention a very important book, Professor Arnold Ehret, who wrote the book Mucusless Diet Healing System, and thoroughly talks about the benefits of vegan diet. And then, Back to Eating, Jethro Kloss is a great book to also read. The All-You-Can-Eat Cookbook by the McDougalls. Pamphlets. Thank you. Okay, do it.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to mention that there are a lot of good pamphlets out, like Vegetarian Living. If you have a computer, look at www.vegliving.org. An 800 number is 888-VEG-FOOD. Why Vegan is put out by www.veganoutreach.org. And Veganism Getting Started, another great book by the American Vegan Society. Let's look at these great alternative food items. Let's start with the Boca Burger. It says 75% less fat than ground beef hamburgers, meatless soy protein burgers. That may be something good. Then we have the Vegan Burger here. It's an all-natural, low-fat vegetarian burger. Then if you want to taste the steak, you have Salisbury steak. and many other types of burgers, breakfast links. In other words, folks, there's no need not to be a vegetarian these days. You have several types of bologna, turkey style, ham style, bologna style, even Canadian vegetarian bacon. Then we have vegan cheeses that are made without the casein, and you read the ingredients: fat-free, casein-free. Because remember, you don't want casein because it scars the blood vessels. Then we have Amy's no cheese pizza. Then we have Tofuti pan crust pizza. Then we have whole grain cereals. Now we can just pick these up and read the ingredients: yellow corn flour, corn bran flour, unsulfurated molasses, oat flour, expeller pressed high oleic oil, salt, baking soda, natural, vitamin C and vitamin E. Higher level ingredient list. Then we have instant oatmeal, or you can get whole oats or oat groats. Then we have Pacific almond milk. There's many different brands where you have an almond base, which is filtered water, almonds, brown rice sweetener, natural flavor, malt, barley malt, sea salt, gur gum, xanthan gum, and carrageen and carob bean gum. These are all natural ingredients, folks. Much better than dairy products, a great alternative. Then one of the best oils in the world, flaxseed oil, may be the best oil. Never cook with it. This is excellent for the essential fatty acids and the omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed oil. Then we have other oils that you could cook with if you need to: safflower oil, olive oil, and then there's Spectrum Natural Spread Margarine. It's cholesterol-free, made with canola oil, has no hydrogenated, no trans fatty acids. That's what you want to read for, folks. Then something we distribute here is the essential protein from the soybean, already broken down in simple constituents, therefore not allergy producing, very low in fat, balanced, very easily digestible, mixes great with smoothies. If one is postmenopausal or fighting cancer, we would recommend the isoflavones, higher essential soy product. And then there's other products that you can get that are also low in fat: soy protein, super green, Pro 96, high protein energy. And you just read the ingredients. Start reading the ingredients. Of course, these are soil-grown sprouts, sunflower sprouts. You don't need to read the ingredients too fast on that. There's only one ingredient: sprouts. And then we have spirulina, which is excellent to add to smoothies or other dishes to enhance the protein, the vitamin B12. Vegetarians get vitamin B12 from spirulina, also from the beneficial bacteria within the colon. Then we have other sprouts, crunchy sprouts. In fact, it's called Crunchy Mix. Has all types of mung bean, lentils, red lentils, green peas, all these sprouts, very high in protein. You can spice them up and add some flavoring to them, make it very interesting. Then we have snacks, alternative snack food. This is called pump corn, and these are pumpkin seeds that are seasoned very lightly, very tastefully. And we also have little packets of chlorella, which you can take. I use that pretty often. And then we have veggie dogs. Now the veggie dogs only have calories from fat, 10 calories from fat out of 100 calories. That means it's 10% fat. It doesn't have any artificial ingredients, as I'm reading it: water, isolated soy protein, wheat gluten, expeller pressed canola oil, citric acid, vitamin B1, B2, carrageen, yeast, just natural flavor, cane juice, organic evaporated cane juice. Folks, these are much better to eat than regular hot dogs. They're higher in protein as well. Then we have another great transition food, tofu. Tofu, you want to not overdo it because it is 50% fat, but it is a great transition food away from meat. And as well, we have these various cheese slices that can be put on sandwiches or however you want to use it, that are flavored. just like regular cheese, but doesn't have the harmful ingredients. Then we have low-fat baked potato chips. That's right, folks. Baked potato chips, hickory barbecue, lightly salted, and baked corn chips. So there's a lot of alternatives that we can choose. And let's not forget the soy gurt, the silken soy gurt is cultured. It has the beneficial bacteria, and it tastes just like yogurt, probably better, and is not associated with those cancers that we talked about previously. Also, we have another type of soy gurt called whole soy, and this is plain, it's creamy cultured soy. Cultured means it has the beneficial bacteria that will also give you the B12. So, what we have here is an opportunity for you to get very, very healthy, to prevent disease. If you have a disease, you can decrease the effects of it. I have many patients who are surviving well with cancer, whether they take conventional treatments or not. They benefit greatly by adopting a vegetarian diet, and then for them ultimately a more raw diet, a raw vegan diet. So I will be very happy to talk to you further about this. I hope this has been very informative and eye-opening to you. This is Dr. William Richardson of the Atlanta Clinic of Preventive Medicine. This is why I really am showing you this book, and we're going to get into this. A Bone to Pick with Chicken. A number of research reports have warned that cooked red meat may contain cancer-causing agents called heterocyclic amines. Many people assume that these substances were found only in red meat. Now there's evidence that chicken may carry the same risk, perhaps even higher. The National Cancer Institute has reported that chicken has even more of these cancer-causing agents than red meat. Whether you broil, fry, or barbecue the chicken, the level of these amines climbs steadily upward the longer it's cooked. So, the best way to eat chicken is to eat it raw. That's right, raw food. That's the best way to eat it. Now I'm going to show you some really neat pictures. Animals eat insects. This is the frog leaping to eat its prey, the dragonfly. And it doesn't cook it either. The frog captures the dragonfly with the tongue and then devours it, holding it like we would a stick. Here's the owl. The owl leaps from the trees and captures its prey, the mouse or the rat. That's what it eats. And it takes it back to the nest so it can feed it to its young. And then there's the strong land animals such as the lion. They have teeth like flesh eaters, don't they? And they eat their flesh live and raw, uncooked, because cooking it can cause cancer, as we just said in the previous section. And they eat plant eaters. This particular animal this lion is eating has teeth like you and I, plant eaters' teeth. And they eat it live and raw, uncooked. And then they dig in and eat the inner parts of the animal. And they're very clean animals, the lion. They lick themselves clean. Then we have wild dogs. These wild dogs were followed in Africa. You see there's a collar on the top dog. And they're looking for their prey. And what is their prey? But the warthog. And they're looking at it, eating it live and raw. Will find their source of prey, even if they have to follow it into a hole. They pull it out by the butt, blood and all. How'd you like a bite of the meat? This is your meat. This is how these dogs process it. They eat it live and raw. Then they dig in and eat it all up that they can. But then they have friends. The hyena comes, the spotted animal, and notice the dog is trying to bite the hyena because the hyena is trying to steal its meat supply, and it's a dog-eat-dog world, indeed. But then we have the orangutan. the orangutans, we share 98% of our genes are identical to the orangutan's genes. We're only 2% different. Notice the well-manicured nails in the thumb. Orangutans live in Indonesia. And in their language, orangutan means man of the forest. And this smart, branch-swinging vegetarian provides important clues to our past. What about the mountain gorilla? This is a baby gorilla. Mountain gorillas eat 240 different species